if you guys follow us here at Dirt Bike Repair, you'll know that I have the 1500 Collect CR500 built by MRE, and it's pretty much got everything done to it. Today we're gonna put a few more things into it and make it even better of a bike. We're gonna get rid of this black seat cover, put on a nice fresh seat cover from Throttle Jockey. This is a great looking cover. We're gonna get in on there. And we ended up getting an MRE reed cage that's gonna really lengthen out the power curve, gonna help the bike a lot. Not that you really need that much more power on a CR500, but more is always better. Nobody ever complains about getting too much. Anyway, and if you are a fan of the channel and you've been following along, you'll know that we have this Yamaha Banshee. It's an 03, but it's got pipes, V-force reeds, you know, it's done, fresh motor. And this bike, this quad, I should say, is ridiculous fast. Like, it might be faster than the 500. That's what I told my buddy. I said, like, hey, this thing's fast. So he's like, well, why don't we race the Banshee and the 500? And I said, we probably should. So that's why we're gonna work on the 500 today, get it up to snuff. You know, it's harvest time, all the fields are coming off, so we got lots of access to some wide open fields where we can just open these suckers up and see who the real king of ping is. So for us, first step of this process is gonna be getting this old seat off so we can start ripping the cover off and getting this nice new cover on. We don't want to show up to the king of ping race and not have the bike looking its best. You know, I'm a big Honda guy. The Banshee's cool, but it's not my CR500. So we're gonna get this all sorted out, get it looking good, get that reed cage on there, and then we'll be ready to rip. Get this air filter changed while we're doing it. Anytime you take your seat off, for the 2 seconds it takes to clean an air filter, you might as well do it. So we're gonna get ours out of there. Now we don't ride this bike a lot. Honestly, it gets like 1 oil change a year, gets the air filter cleaned once a year, because it's a lot of bike, but definitely needs an oil change and an air filter clean. So there's nothing wrong with this seat cover. It's actually pretty comfy. It's just a matter that I like to maybe splash in a little bit more red so it'll look a little bit more polished on the bike. But the number one thing when it comes to taking apart seats, and I believe this seat cover was, like somebody had purchased this seat with this cover. So it's obvious, I didn't even know it was missing a thing. Did that fall off when we were riding? I don't know. No. But anyway, we're gonna keep moving forward. We're missing a mount on the 500 and I didn't even know. When we get the cover off, maybe we can look and see what I got. We're also missing a rubber. I could have vibrated out. The 500's a beast. Anyway, what we're gonna do, because I can't find another seat, I've been looking, but we're gonna go ahead and start pulling all the staples so we can start the process of getting the new cover on this. When it comes to pulling the staples, guys, I like to get underneath them. We're gonna try and save the cover. We'll just pry up one side of the staple just with a flat screwdriver like so. Then I just use a pair of needle nose or whatever pliers you got and pull them out, keep track of them, just like so. They come out pretty easy. If they break off, you're gonna wanna nip them. You don't wanna rip your new cover. You know, don't rush when you're doing a cover. It's just like doing graphics. You want a nice clean look when you're done. So we're gonna go around, take them all out, and then we'll show you the next step. This bike's had a few covers on it by the amount of holes in the plastic. And whoever put this one on did a really good job, actually, whoever did the last cover. I'm surprised. Because it's hard. Covers are hard. They're hard to do. It's a lot of work to get them all smooth and looking good. We got the old cover off. It's in really good shape, like I said. Now, I have a problem. I have a problem that I'm never gonna use this again in my life because it wrecks the one that I'm putting on. I'm not gonna put this one back on. I'm gonna buy a new one. But you know what I'm gonna do with this? I'm gonna keep it for 25 years in a box, along with all the other stuff that I have saved down in my basement that I'm never gonna use. This is a problem I think a lot of us dirt bike guys have. You know, maybe one day I'll take it to a swap meet and I'll haul it all the way there and I'll never sell it. I'll just have it there. Nobody cares. Nobody wants a half-used seat cover. I should throw it out, but I can't. It's just the problem we have. Now, like you can see, this foam's in really good shape, other than somebody probably had a high spot and maybe they were shorter, so they shaved the seat. I don't know. Or maybe it had a rotten spot, who knows. You could take like some material and put it on top and try and reshape it, or some closed cell material like you'd use for underlayment. You could put that on. I've seen that done to kind of give it a better shape, make it a little softer too. Some people don't like the hardness of a seat. You could put batting on there and that helps you reshape it. I don't have any material here and we're not going to do that today with our seat, but we're going to get our new seat cover on there. Now, I like to start at the front, you know, and work my way to the back is kind of how I like to do it. Now, if you guys don't have an air stapler, that's okay. You don't need an air stapler. I'm going to use an air stapler because I have an air stapler. But if you don't have one, don't get discouraged. I've done a lot of seats with the old squeeze and push hand stapler, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the air one is definitely a lot easier. But there's a lot of tools that you can get that make your job easier, but you don't need. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you see me using a tool and you're like, well, I don't have an air stapler, it's going to cost me so much money to buy one, and it's not worth redoing the seat. You know what? If your seat cover's wrecked, whatever you get on there is probably going to be better than what you had. Try it, guys. Don't get yourself discouraged. So we're going to put a couple staples here in the front and see how it looks. Not bad. I'm okay with that. It doesn't look too bad. Again, trying to center it so that it doesn't look like it's twisted. We want the lines to look straight, or as straight as we can get them anyway. There's a lot of material here to work with. It's going to look good. Don't be afraid. You may have to pull some staples out. That's one thing I see guys get really discouraged, is sometimes guys, like, this is a mess going on up here. You can see it. But we put a staple there so I could kind of get a feel for how it's going to look. If I have to pull that out and retighten it and re-pull it, I will. It takes 2 seconds. But it's all about getting these lines where you want them on this type of seat cover, making it look half decent. So like that doesn't look bad to me. I'm able to work with that. So I'm going to throw another staple way down here, way in, not where I want to hold it later on. This is a temporary hold, and it's okay to do this kind of stuff. There's lots of extra material here, but you see how we got lots on one side and not enough on the other? So what that's doing, look at this. This is horrible. So we got to pull that out. But don't be afraid to have to fix it and change it to make it the way you want, to get the look you want. There's a lot of stretch in these throttle jockey seat covers too. That's why I like using them. They just work good. We're getting somewhere, boys. Out of staples, of course. So I like to use 1/4 inch or 5/16 staples, guys. That's what I like to use. They provide enough hold, and they're not going to be piercing clean through into into your foam too bad. Now you can start seeing we got these wrinkles, but the back is looking pretty good. Obviously there's a little cleanup we're gonna have to do back here, which is fine. But we're gonna have to work this out to the sides to really get that fit that we want. So the staples we installed earlier are probably gonna have to come out. And that's why we put them really close to the inside, so that if material needs to come out, your hole isn't stuck here on the side of your seat. So, it's not a bad looking cover so far. We got a little bit of wrinkles that we're gonna have to pull out, but I wanna fit this on the bike and see if it goes like this or if it lengthens out nice. So we're gonna try that right now. We'll roughly test fit. Now obviously, there's gonna be some trimming and some messing around to do, but not too bad. It's not a bad looking seat cover. A little dirty from my scrubby hands touching it, but definitely adding quite a bit. We're gonna do a little bit more pulling up here just to help pull those out. I really wish that foam wasn't cut like that, because it would really fill it and it would give us a lot better look through here. But, you know, this is what we're working with, and this is the same type of thing that normal guys are gonna be working with like yourself. You're gonna have these little issues. So, not bad. And that's just a rough fit. We're gonna keep pulling and working our way around. The Honda looks pretty straight. Could use a little bit more pull down. So we're gonna work with that. So by looking at these these ripples, I can kind of take my finger and pull some tension and feel it. And okay, right here is where I want to pull that tension out. So I've already got a few staples there. So we're gonna remove a few of these staples to let us pull it a little further, right? It's all making sense, I'm sure. Like I said, it's like putting graphics on. This is a process that you don't want to rush. I like to test fit onto the bike. Some guys don't. Some guys are a lot better at it than I am. By no means am I an upholstery specialist. So we pulled a little bit more material. That little ripple is coming right out. So now we're gonna pull it towards the front where it's not stapled here by pulling a couple of these staples out, and I can kind of pull it up and around. So yeah, that's pretty much doing a seat cover. Just working your way around, and then once you get it where you like it, and there's no wrinkles where you want, you just go along and put extra staples in so it doesn't peel off. I like to leave the excess. I'm not a big excess cutter offer until I'm 100% sure that's where I like it. Maybe on my air filter change, if there's extra, I'll trim it off. The only spots you really got to worry about the extra is on where the seat mounts to the fuel tank usually, or hooks into something. Where these are, I don't have the other one, obviously. I'm gonna have to look for one. Probably fell off, probably broke, who knows. And obviously, I don't like that this is missing. I will just rivet one on if I ever find one. But in reality, I'm gonna look for another seat for this bike. It's just hard to find old stuff. It needs a few more staples, and then this seat's done, and we can get on with the rest of the build. So this is the MRE custom billet reed cage. So basically, it's V-Force 4 or 2 reeds. I can't remember exactly what we talked about. But with his custom block that he's built, it really works good. And he's tried different brands, I guess, and I think he's starting to make his own pedals. But you'd have to check with him. That's Millar Race Engineering, for anybody who doesn't know. I'll put a link in the description to where you can find this stuff, because the stuff he makes is by far, you know, superior. all the guys, he's kind of a guru when it comes to the CR500s. I am not gonna even come close to saying I know what this guy knows about CR500s. But definitely a cool piece that we're gonna add on to the bike. In order to get really good access at the reed cage, we're gonna have to get this pipe out of the way. And you know, you're better off to just do what needs to come off rather than messing around and you're fighting with it. It's a few small bolts. Try not to lose any of them, of course. Got our spring puller. Now when it comes to the CR500s, normally like a 250 or a 125, they only have 2 springs, but on a 500 there's 4 on the CR500s anyway, because it's a lot of bike. The vibration alone, it needs these, let alone like if it backfires or when you're kicking it over, it probably kicks this pipe right off without these 4 springs. So we'll get them pulled off with our spring puller tool. Definitely a key to doing any work on a 2-stroke. Get yourself a spring puller tool or make one. It's a T-handle with a hook. Like, it's not hard to do. Get this fancy pipe off of there. Now, if any of you guys have ever worked on the C5, the aluminum frame 500s, you'll know that it is a giant pain in the butt to try and get these pipes on and off. I had an F&F pipe before. It was the struggle of the world to try and get it off. Now, the Huga pipe, it's awesome. You know, it actually fits. It goes on and off. Now, I may have to loosen the silencer. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I had it off. But it does actually slide on and off like 100 times easier than any other one. Yeah, it's just on that silencer. This we're holding here. Come on. There we go. Right on. Best pipe I ever owned, to be honest. I really like them. So to get access at our reed cage, it's a lot easier to get your subframe up and out of the way. So that's what we're gonna do for this build. We're gonna get the subframe loosened off. We've already loosened the pivot bolt. And we're gonna pull this subframe off of the carb so we can remove the carb, get all that taken care of, and it just makes it a lot easier. You could completely remove the subframe, but you can usually swing them up. The boot, without wrecking the boot, is the key. It's a little cooler in the garage today, so come on. Come on, you bugger. Everything's pretty tight in here. Okay, well, that didn't work out like I wanted. It actually separated out of the intake, which is fine. We can probably work with it just like that. So the carb separated out of the intake, which is fine, because we need to pull the intake, pull this plate, basically, replace it with the new MRE super duper extra power plate, because you can see there's all sorts of different spacings in here to try and get the proper spacing. But with that MRE one, it's supposed to bolt right up. It's really just a matter of getting these bolts loosened up so we can get this cage off. I can get my fat hands in there. Come on, you get past that carburetor? Yeah. So we're dealing with a stock reed cage in this bike. You can see. Well, let me get rid of the boot. So this is the boot, the stock boot. We need to keep that. It probably has to be modified. And this is the reed cage that came out. So it has like a spacer plate, okay, to help it get more distance because of the conversions and everything. And then there's nothing wrong with this cage. There's nothing wrong. I'll save it. Of course I will, because I don't throw anything out. And I'll probably never sell it because I'll just forget it's in a box somewhere, which is fine. But there's nothing wrong with this cage. And maybe another CR500 I do needs a reed cage. This one works fine. We'll keep it around. But if you compare that cage to the new setup from MRE, it's quite the difference. Now, we do have to modify our boot. We're gonna have to cut all that crap off, which kind of sucks, right? But that's part of the game. Is this needs to go away, which basically anytime you buy a V-Force setup, it needs the same modification. But we're not going back. We're only moving forward. Basically, for our modification process, we need to cut all this crap off. So we're gonna start by cutting it off nice and easy with a big ass razor blade, and then cleaning it up with like basically a Dremel and sand it all up nice. So it's kind of like a poured and polished setup. It'll be good. Ooh, don't nick it. That's the key. Making multiple cuts if I have to before I just hack through. You know, I don't want to nick the stuff. So yeah, you can see I'm pretty high. We're gonna have to take it down more, but we're gonna get rid of it. So we're at the point where we're gonna get our Dremel going. Hopefully this doesn't plug up too bad. We can slowly work this down without nicking into the flat surface too bad. It's actually looking pretty good. A little bit of a high spot there. That's not bad though. We're gonna go clean this up, blow it off with some air because we've got black crap all over the bench. But once we get this cleaned up, we'll dry fit it. I don't wanna get any dust, any more dust than what we probably already got in this poor thing. I'll have to clean that as well. Anyway guys, let's see how we make out. So as you guys can see, like our fit up is darn near perfect. Like that cleaned up really well. And it'll fit up just bang on. You know what I mean? Like once I put the gasket on there, that's gonna be perfect. Anyway, let's get it back in the bike so we can start this thing and see how it goes. You know, the funny thing is I've had this reed cage for probably like a year. I just haven't had the time to get it in. So, man, am I long overdue to get this 500 back up to snuff. Now, this block had been ground before because the FMF pipe used to hit it. It was horrible. We're gonna get these bolts in. Yeah, coming along. Now, if this thing just changes the whole attitude of the bike, it's gonna be pretty crazy. I'm a little curious on what it's gonna do. Now, if you guys know me, this is the worst. Well, if you guys ever worked on a dirt bike, you'll know that this is the worst part of putting a dirt bike back together, is getting your air boot on the carburetor, getting the carburetor into the intake. The guy who designed it, well, he should be shot. But let's face it, this is what it is, and it's always gonna be this way. I don't know, they knew, like, we're getting lucky today because it didn't come out of the air boot, but I hate it. I hate this struggle. I wish there was a better way. I've tried grease, I've tried all sorts of stuff. Some bikes, they just don't want to get put back together, I think, and that's just the way it is. We're gonna get this one back up because I want to ride it. I want to see if this thing fires right up and has a whole new attitude. Time to do the dance. You know, everybody knows about the 500 starting rituals. I'm gonna turn the fuel on. I'm gonna pop that choke. And we're gonna lean this bike over, get it to pour out some fuel. All right, there it is. Now, it's a matter of doing the chug. I like to put it in second. I got the clutch in, but it just, to chug some fuel down into that cylinder, because the 500 needs a lot of fuel. And put the bike back in neutral. And yeah, I got a boot on because it's just a lot easier. Why hurt yourself? You know? Anyway, I'm gonna disconnect my mic so you guys can actually hear the bike run rather than, you know, the cutout of the mic. So anyway, our CR500, I think the red and black seat, I've been holding off on doing it. I've had the seat for a long time, but I really like the look of the red and black. I think it ties it together better. The MRE reed cage is definitely an upgrade over any other reed cage. The guy knows his 500s, and if he says it's gonna help, it's gonna make a big difference. I took the bike for a little ride. It felt really good. Obviously the vibration on a 500 is hard to even describe over video. But guys, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. What's gonna win the race? Do you think the 500 is gonna outpull the Banshee? I don't know. They're both fast. But we're gonna get out there and we're gonna find out. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.